She gave a dying boy her last piece of bread. 20 years later, Korea's most dangerous man walked into her office wearing her mother's bracelet. The bread was 3 days old, hard enough to hurt your teeth, and it was the only thing Freya had eaten since Monday. She was 8 years old, sitting on the rusted fire escape behind Grace Home Orphanage, Seoul, 2004. The summer heat made the metals burn through her thin dress, but she didn't move. Below, in the narrow alley choked with trash and broken dreams, she'd seen him again. The boy. He was maybe 11, too thin to be real, with hollow eyes that had stopped asking the world for mercy. His clothes hung off him like rags on a skeleton. There was blood on his shirt, fresh, dark, spreading. Freya's stomach growled so loud it echoed. She looked down at the bread in her hands. Sister Margaret had given her 2 pieces this morning. She'd already eaten one for breakfast. This was dinner. The boy shifted and she saw the raw rope burns around his wrists. He's running from something, she thought. Something worse than hunger. Freya climbed down the fire escape slowly, shoes making soft clangs against metal. The boy's head snapped up, eyes wild, body coiled to run. "Wait," Freya whispered in Korean, holding out the bread. "Please, I'm not going to hurt you." The boy stared at the bread like it was a hallucination. "Take it," Freya said, stepping closer. "You need it more than me." His hand trembled as he reached out. When his fingers touched the bread, he made a sound, something between a sob and a gasp. And then he was eating, tears streaming down his dirt-stained face. Freya sat down on the ground across from him, even though Sister Margaret would scold her for ruining her dress. "What's your name?" she asked softly. The boy swallowed, looked at her with eyes older than any child should have. "Min-chan?" he whispered. His voice was broken glass. They brought me on a boat, said I'd work in a restaurant. Work. There was no restaurant." Freya's chest went tight. She'd heard stories. Orphans disappeared all the time. "Where are you sleeping?" "Nowhere. Everywhere." Min-chan's hands shook. "The men are looking for me. If they find me—" "They won't," Freya said with the absolute certainty only an 8-year-old could have. "I'll help you." Min-chan stared at her like she'd just offered him the moon. For 3 weeks, Freya fed Min-chan every night. Stale bread, stolen apples, soup she'd hidden in her pockets during lunch. She learned he'd been trafficked from a village near Busan, that his parents sold him for $500, that the men who bought him weren't just criminals, they were ghosts who made people disappear. "Tomorrow I'm going to bring you medicine," Freya said one August night, watching Min-chan wince from the infected cut on his arm. "And maybe Sister Margaret's old coat for when winter—" "Freya, run." Min-chan's voice was ice. She turned. 4 men stood at the alley entrance, suits, dead eyes. One held a metal bat. "There you are, little rabbit," the tallest one said in Korean, smiling without warmth. "We've been looking everywhere." Min-chan pushed Freya behind him. "Leave her alone, she doesn't know anything." "She's seen our faces." The man tilted his head. "That's enough." Everything happened in seconds. Min-chan lunged. The bat came down. Freya screamed. Blood sprayed across the alley wall. 2 men grabbed Min-chan, dragging him backward. He fought like an animal, kicking, biting, anything to break free. "Freya!" His voice cracked, desperate. "Freya, listen to me!" She was frozen, trembling, watching them hurt him. "I'll come back," Min-chan screamed as they threw him into a black van. "I'll become someone. I'll get rich and I'll come back for you. I promise. I promise." Freya ran forward, tears blinding her. She ripped off her bracelet, the thin silver chain her dead mother left her, the only thing she owned that mattered, and threw it through the van window. "So you don't forget me," she sobbed. Min-chan caught it, pressed it to his chest like a prayer. The van door slammed, tires screeched, and then he was gone. Freya stood alone in the alley, blood on her shoes, her chest cracked wide open. She never saw him again, until 20 years later when he walked into her office as Korea's most feared man. Seoul, 2024. 20 years later. Min Chan woke at 4:47 a.m. in a penthouse that cost $8 million and felt like a tomb. Floor-to-ceiling windows. The Han River glittering below like broken glass. Everything black marble and sharp edges and silence so deep it could swallow you whole. He walked to the bathroom, turned on lights that never warmed anything. The man in the mirror was a stranger. Tailored suit. Cold eyes. Scars hidden under expensive fabric. They called him the Silent King, the ghost who controlled Seoul's underworld without ever raising his voice. Shipping, real estate, politicians, police. He owned them all, and he felt nothing. Min Chan rolled up his left sleeve, past the $80,000 watch, past the tattoo of a crown that covered burns from cigarettes. There, wrapped around his wrist, faded and fraying after 20 years, was Freya's bracelet. He touched it the way other men touched religious relics. "Where are you?" His phone buzzed. Jae Sung, his second in command. "We found her." Min Chan's world stopped. "Where?" His voice was barely a whisper. "Mercy House Shelter. Gangnam District. She runs it, fights human trafficking. She's been fighting us, Hyung, for 3 years." Min Chan closed his eyes. Of course fate would be this cruel. The girl who saved him was now his enemy. "Send me everything," he said quietly. "And clear my schedule. I'm going to see her." He looked at the bracelet one more time. 20 years, 15 properties purchased, 40 investigators hired, a fortune spent searching. Tonight, the ghost would finally show his face. And Freya had no idea the monster she'd created was coming home. The community meeting was chaos. 80 people crammed into Mercy House's main hall, all shouting about the new development project, destroying Gangnam's poorest neighborhood. Freya stood at the front, exhausted, furious, fighting. "They're offering pennies for homes worth millions," she said, voice cutting through the noise. "They're erasing us." That's when the door opened. Silence fell like a guillotine. A man entered, tall, black suit that cost more than cars. 4 men behind him, dangerous and still. His face was beautiful and terrible. Sharp jaw, dark eyes that looked through people instead of at them. Freya's heart kicked against her ribs. She didn't know why. "Miss Freya Nathanson?" His voice was silk and smoke, Korean accent smooth and precise. "Who's asking?" "My name is Min Chan Park." He walked forward slowly, deliberately. "I represent the development company you're fighting. I'm here to end this dispute." Gasps rippled through the crowd. Freya's jaw tightened. "Then you know exactly what I think of you." "I do." Min Chan stopped 10 feet away. "Which is why I'm canceling the project. All of it." Stunned silence. "What?" Freya's voice cracked. "The development, the acquisitions, the evictions, consider them void." Min Chan's eyes never left hers. "I'm here to make things right." "Why would you do that?" This was the moment. Min Chan reached up slowly, unbuttoned his left cuff, rolled back his sleeve. Past the watch, past the tattoos. There, silver, tarnished, 20 years old, was her mother's bracelet. Freya's world tilted. Her hand flew to her mouth. No, you can't." "Freya," Min Chan whispered, and his voice broke on her name. "It's me." "Min Chan?" Her eyes filled with tears. The boy behind the window exploded. Glass rained down. Someone screamed. Gunfire erupted from the street. Rapid, deadly, professional. Min Chan moved like water. He crossed the space in 2 strides, wrapped himself around Freya, pulled her down as bullets tore through walls. His body became her shield, hand cradling her head, his breath hot against her ear. "Stay down," he commanded. "Don't move." More gunfire, his men returning fire. Chaos, terror. Min Chan didn't move. After 20 years of searching, he'd finally found her. And now someone was trying to kill her because of him. Wait, who do you think is attacking? A rival gang? Someone from Min-chan's past? Drop your theory in the comments. And if your heart is racing right now, smash that like button because this is about to get darker. Freya woke in a bedroom that wasn't hers. Silk sheets, floor-to-ceiling windows showing Seoul's skyline. Her phone on the nightstand fully charged, which meant someone had carried her here while she was unconscious. The door opened. Min-chan entered, holding a tray with tea and food. "You're awake," he said softly. "You kidnapped me." Freya sat up, adrenaline spiking. "I protected you. Those men weren't random. They were sent by the Gwangju cartel, my rivals. They know you matter to me now. You're not safe." "Then stay away from me." "No." The word was absolute. Freya's hands clenched. "You don't get to decide that." "I already have." She stood, fury and fear tangled in her chest. "What happened to you? The boy I saved was kind, scared, human? You're a monster?" Min-chan finished quietly. "Yes." He walked to the wall, pressed a hidden panel. It slid open, revealing an entire room. Freya stepped inside and her breath stopped. The walls were covered in her. Photos, documents, newspaper clippings. 20 years of her life mapped out like an investigation. Birthday parties, college graduation, every job, every address, every friend. Her stomach turned. "What is this?" "My search," Min-chan said behind her. "I've been looking for you since I was 16. Bought properties near the orphanage. Hired investigators, funded shelters, hoping you'd walk through the door." Freya spun around. "This isn't love. This is obsession." "Yes." His eyes held hers. "You saved me when I was dying. Fed me. Gave me hope when I had none. Then you gave me your mother's bracelet and told me not to forget you." His voice cracked. "How could I? You were the only person in the world who saw me as human." "So you became this?" She gestured at the photos, the evidence of 20 years spent hunting her. "You think I wanted this?" "I think—" Min-chan's jaw tightened. "I think I became powerful so no one could ever hurt me again. And I think I spent 20 years searching because you were the only good thing I ever had." Freya's eyes filled with tears. "Then you wasted 20 years because I don't know you anymore." She turned to leave. "The cartel took your assistant, Maya," Min-chan said quietly. "They're using her as leverage to get to me, to get to you." Freya froze. "I can get her back," Min-chan continued, "but you have to stay here where it's safe." Freya looked back at him, this stranger wearing the boy she'd saved like a mask. "Get her back," she whispered. "Then we're done." Min-chan nodded once, then walked out. But they both knew it was a lie. 3 days trapped in Min-chan's penthouse felt like drowning in expensive silence. Freya tried leaving twice. Both times, polite men in black suits showed her photos. Maya's location, cartel movements, credible threats, evidence she'd die if she left. On the fourth night, she found Min-chan standing at the window, staring at nothing. Shirtless. And that's when she saw them. Scars. Dozens of them. Cigarette burns forming patterns across his shoulders. Knife wounds crisscrossing his back. Brands. Actual brands. Burned into his ribs. "Oh my God," Freya whispered. Min-chan turned, no shame in his eyes. "You're wondering what happened after they took me." She couldn't speak. He walked closer. "They didn't take me back to the traffickers. They sold me to the Red Phoenix Syndicate. I was 11. They used me for labor. When I fought back, they used cigarettes. When I tried to escape, they used knives." "The brands?" He gestured to his ribs. "Those were rewards. For killing my first man at 13. Freya's hand covered her mouth. "I survived by becoming more dangerous than them," Min-chan continued, voice hollow. "Climbed from slave to assassin to enforcer to leader. Took 15 years, and every single night I held your bracelet and thought, when I'm powerful enough, I'll find her. I'll prove I'm worthy." "Worthy?" Freya's voice broke. "Min-chan, you were always—" "I was nothing." His eyes blazed. A trafficked child, disposable, forgettable. You were the only person who looked at me like I mattered, so I became someone who mattered. Silence. Then Freya stepped forward, reached out, traced one of the cigarette scars with her fingertips. Min-chan flinched. Not from pain, from softness. "I'm sorry," she whispered. "I'm so sorry you went through that. Don't apologize." That voice was rough. "You saved my life. That sandwich, that bracelet, that kindness, it's the only reason I survived." Their eyes met. Something shifted. That night, grief and longing and 20 years of separation collided. They didn't speak. Didn't need to. When Freya woke in his bed the next morning, Min-chan was already gone. But on the nightstand was a note. "Maya's safe. I kept my promise. You're free to leave now." But Freya didn't leave, because 3 weeks later she discovered she was carrying his child. The pregnancy test sat on the marble counter, positive, mocking her. Freya's hands shook so badly she had to grip the sink. Pregnant. With a Mafia king's baby. With a man I barely know anymore. The bathroom door opened. Min-chan froze when he saw her face. Then the test. Complete. Silence. Then he dropped to his knees in front of her, hands trembling as they touched her stomach. "Freya," he whispered, voice breaking. "Freya, this is..." His phone rang. He ignored it. It rang again. Then again. "Answer it," Freya said quietly. Min-chan stood, jaw tight, pressed the phone to his ear. "What?" She watched his face turn to stone. "I understand," he said, voice cold. Then he hung up. "What happened?" "That was Kangdae, my mentor. The man who runs the Silent Council." Min-chan's eyes were hollow. "He knows about you. About us. He's given me an order." Freya's blood went cold. "What order?" "Eliminate you." His voice cracked. "He says you're a liability. You know too much. You've seen too much. Either I kill you or the council does it for me." The room tilted. "So what now?" Freya whispered. "You do what they say?" Min-chan looked at her, really looked, and something ancient and terrible hardened in his eyes. "No," he said. "I burn it all down." What happened next became legend in Seoul's underworld. Min-chan walked into the Silent Council's headquarters, alone, unarmed, and shot Kangdae 3 times in the chest. "Anyone else want to touch her?" asked the 12 men staring in shock. Silence. "Then hear this, I'm out. The territories, the operations, the empire, take it. I'm done." "You can't just leave," someone snarled. "Watch me." He turned and walked out. Behind him, Seoul's underworld erupted into war. Freya found out from the news. Gangland violence, territories collapsing. The Silent King had vanished. When Min-chan came back to the penthouse, he was covered in blood, none of it his. "What did you do?" Freya whispered. "I chose you." His eyes were wild, desperate. "I chose you over everything. The empire, the power, the life I built, it's all gone. Because I won't let them touch you. I won't let them touch our child." Freya's eyes filled with tears. "How many people will die because of this? How many families will burn because you love me?" "I don't care." "I do." She screamed it, months of fear and anger and confusion exploding. "You started a war, Min-chan. You killed your mentor, you destroyed everything, and for what? For me? I never asked for this. I never asked you to become a monster." The words landed like bullets. Min-chan stared at her, something breaking behind his eyes. "You're right," he whispered. "You saved a boy, and he became the thing you hate most." He walked to the door. "Where are you going?" "To fix this." His voice was hollow. "To make sure you're safe, even if it costs everything." Min-chan. But he was already gone, and Freya stood alone, pregnant, terrified, wondering if she'd just destroyed the only man who'd ever loved her completely. For 3 days, Freya heard nothing. The news exploded with gang wars, territories burning, bodies found in the Han River. Seoul's underworld was tearing itself apart, and Minchan was gone. On the fourth day, Jae Sung appeared at her door. "Miss Freya," he said, face grave. "You need to come with me, now." "Where's Minchan?" "He surrendered himself to the Gwangju cartel." Freya's world stopped. "He what?" "He walked into their, headquarters unarmed. Offered his life in exchange for a truce. For your safety. For—" Jae Sung's voice cracked. "For your child's future." "No." "Take me to him," Freya demanded. "Miss Freya, they'll kill you." "Take me to him!" The warehouse reeked of blood and diesel. Minchan knelt in the center, hands bound, face battered but defiant. 15 armed men surrounded him. At the front stood the Gwangju cartel's leader, a man called the Viper. "The Silent King," Viper said, circling Minchan like prey. Finally brought to his knees. "Any last words?" Minchan's eyes stayed cold. "Just do it." That's when Freya's voice cut through the warehouse. "Wait!" Every head turned. She stood at the entrance, breathless, terrified, furious. "Freya, no!" Minchan's voice broke. "Get out of here." "Ah!" Viper smiled. "The girl worth destroying an empire for. How romantic." He pulled a gun, aimed it at Freya. "No!" Minchan lunged, but 2 men held him down. "You took everything from us," Viper said. "So I'll take everything from you." "Wait!" Freya stepped forward. "What do you want?" "I want him to suffer." Viper's smile was poison. "I want—" "Then let him go," Freya interrupted, "and take me instead." "Freya, don't!" Minchan screamed. She ignored him. "I'm carrying his child. You want him to suffer? Let him live knowing he couldn't save us. That's worse than death." Viper considered this, then laughed. "You're smarter than I thought." "Freya, please." Minchan's voice cracked, tears streaming. "Please don't do this. Kill me, torture me, anything. Just let her go." Viper looked between them, then lowered the gun. "No," he said slowly. I think I'll let you both live." Silence. "Because this?" Viper gestured at them. "This is better than death. Watching her hate you for what you've become. Watching your child grow up afraid of their father. Living with the knowledge that your love destroyed everything." He walked to the door, paused. "You're free to go, both of you. Consider it my gift." Then he was gone. Freya and Minchan stood in the warehouse, both broken, both bleeding. "You came for me," Minchan whispered. "Of course I did." Freya's voice shook. "You idiot. You beautiful, stupid idiot." And then she was in his arms, crying, holding him like he might disappear. "I'm sorry," Minchan breathed into her hair. "For everything. For becoming this. For dragging you into my darkness." "Shut up," Freya sobbed. "Just shut up and hold me." So he did. Outside, Seoul burned. Inside, 2 broken people held each other and chose to survive. 5 years later. The small house in Busan was nothing like Minchan's old penthouse. No marble, no floor-to-ceiling windows, just warm wood, sunlight through curtains, and the sound of a child laughing in the garden. Minchan stood at the stove making breakfast. Simple, quiet, human. "Daddy, Daddy, look!" He turned. His daughter, 4 years old, Freya's eyes, his dark hair, ran inside holding a small silver bracelet. "I found this in your drawer," she said. "Can I wear it?" Minchan's throat tightened. He knelt down, took the bracelet, his mother's bracelet, the one Freya gave him 20 years ago, and gently clasped it around his daughter's tiny wrist. "This bracelet," he said softly, "belonged to someone very special. Your mommy gave it to me when I had nothing. It reminded me to stay human, to choose kindness even when the world was cruel. Like the boy in your story." His daughter's eyes went wide. "The one mommy saved?" "Exactly like that." Freya appeared in the doorway, watching them, smiling. After the warehouse, Min-chan had done the impossible. He'd walked away, gave evidence to prosecutors, dismantled his empire from the inside, spent 2 years in protective custody, testifying against the syndicates. Seoul's underworld collapsed, hundreds arrested. The Silent King became a ghost again, this time by choice. They'd moved to Busan. Min-chan now ran Mercy House, shelters Busan branch, helped trafficking victims, saved kids the way Freya once saved him. It wasn't redemption, not fully, but it was a start. "Breakfast ready?" Freya asked, sliding her arms around him from behind. "Almost." He turned, kissed her forehead. "Thank you." "For what?" "For not giving up on me. For seeing the boy instead of the monster." "They were always the same person," Freya whispered. "You just forgot for a while." Their daughter tugged Min-chan's sleeve. "Daddy, can we go feed the birds? Like in the story?" Min-chan looked at Freya. She nodded. "Yes," he said. "Let's go." In the garden, their daughter scattered breadcrumbs for sparrows, laughing as they swooped down. Min-chan watched her, this tiny human made of love and second chances, and felt something he'd forgotten existed. Peace. "You kept your promise," Freya said beside him, holding his hand. "What promise?" "You said you'd become someone." She smiled. "You did, just not the someone you thought." Min-chan pulled her close, watched their daughter play, felt the weight of 20 years finally lift. The Silent King was dead. The boy Freya saved was finally alive. And for the first time in his life, Min-chan Park was home. So tell me, do you believe people can truly change? Can love really redeem a monster? Drop your thoughts in the comments. And if this story wrecked you the way it wrecked me, subscribe because we've got more stories about impossible love and second chances. Thank you for being here. See you in the next one. See,